trying to get crazy with this scene. Don't you know I'm loco?
Like, there's not enough OGs and individuals. I don't want to be like, oh, toot my fucking horn, like such as myself in the community. But like, from what you saw in LA Originals to he gave you a little bit at the end where you saw me explaining what was in the book and all that. Well, that's where I'm at today. You know, when you saw me with the beard, and in that situation, I'm glad that we have this this platform where I can let the listener know if you're listening. They call me Original Gangster Lepke, OG Lep from Westside Rebels, LA. I'm down here with Bobby Tribe.
That's right.
Come on. Right. And,
oh, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for leading me to this platform.
This dude right here, man. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Lepke. Like, I've seen this dude on a roller coaster ride for the last 20-some years, like up and down. He's Mr. Sober Free.
Sober Free, man. Tribal video.
That's right.
Coming at you.
Old tribal video.
Right.
OG Lepke. But, all jokes aside, I think this dude, he's lucky to be here. He probably shouldn't be here because he survived. This is kind of like, he's a survival story. The streets didn't get him. They tried. He made it through. The streets couldn't take him. The penitentiaries being incarcerated for I don't know how many years. That didn't get him. The drugs almost got him, but that didn't get him. Right,
but we're in a social media era right now where I did a podcast for it was a gentleman up there in Hollywood Hills, Yeager, Keith Yeager. I did me and Big Luck. Shout out to Big Luck. We did this podcast, Lucky from Santa Monica.
That's
we
right.
did the
Big
podcast.
Lucky.
For this guy called It's All Bad, and then I was, and then somebody was like, because I use the phone a lot, and somebody said, well, if you have a computer, you could go in there and there's comments after you did that. That podcast has been out a while. You can go and look at the comments, see what people said, how you did. So I was reading you get some negativity. So I'm looking, and I'm looking, and it said, some, a kid, one of these youngsters got up there and he put, we retired your ass, like we retired. So what I did was I basically, I answered one time. I only answered once. I go, thinking that he might not have knew whatever I had up there is to get me in the computer, cause I'm not a really computer guy. So, I put, you hung your rag, you retired, some shit. I put, he's still walking, and breathing. When you retire somebody, you put him 6 feet deep in the grave. And this individual is still walking at 57 years old.
Yeah, and you're a blessed man, cause I've like I said, I'm proud of you right now.
Thank you.
Like I've seen where you've been, how at your heaviest.
Right.
How big were you at your heviest, and how light were you at your lightest, you think?
You mean
when you were on all the dope?
Oh my God, man! I really never weighed. Like I used to go. Shout out to Esteban. Esteban, he did it. He followed me for a while, and he was always documenting. Because through Lucky, I got introduced to Esteban and to Cartoon, and when they were getting their name going and doing whatever they were doing in order to get their things, to where they're at today, we were still kind of, when they brought me in, I had just paroled. Lucky got me, and Lucky's like, these dudes. So rest in peace, Big B. We started doing the club thing back in the day in Hollywood. And this involved Lucky. Lucky has a lot of ties. So what he would do is he'd get us work. Esteban has a lot of ties. So we were working those clubs. That's how I got introduced. I had paroled. I did a second strike when that went in effect, March 7, 1994. one of my older homeboys came at me. He's like, "Look, man, they just put a new law in effect. Whatever you do, don't be in the hood acting a fool." And it was already too late. I was strung out, probably $180.
It was a full of Rama.
Yeah, $180. Running down to downtown LA, down to Bonnie Bray and Alvarado down there. They had some good dope. I always find the good dope. I'll find out where, like, anyway, because they didn't have my neighborhood basically went from where when we had a lot of heroin to the point to where the heroin was real cheap, and then something happened. I did like from 94 to 98. I got out. There was no more heroin. It was crack, a little bit of meth, because a lot of people. We'll get into the meth thing later, but a lot of the. So in other words, there was. I'm a heroin. At the end of the day, I don't like drugs that I'm trying to get mellow, not yellow. I like drugs that are gonna like calm me down. Like, really, when I shoot heroin or I do any drugs like heroin, what ends up happening to me is it hypes me up. Like, I feel like I get motivated. So basically, I got out. I got out in 98, and then I moved in while we were over there off of Formosa and Willoughby by the Formosa Cafe in Hollywood in my neighborhood. I moved with my homie, my guy I grew up with, David Benstock, which to this day, if you saw him, you'd think he was a Hasidic rabbi. And on that street, if you know that area by Pink's Hot Dog, right across the street, that's the Melrose area. Shout out to the Fairfax area. Skinhead Raw Power Plant. Dom from Brooklyn Project. We got to give them a look.
That's right.
Those are my folks, man. Out down there on Melrose, up and down Melrose. Fairfax. I grew up on Stanley and Oakwood, and by Fairfax High. You know, so I'm a Fairfax alumni. I'm all those motels that up and down. So anyway, I get off track. I like to jump around. So what happened is, what was I talking about now? About
you were talking about when you got out in 98.
Oh, I got out. So yeah, with Lucky. Lucky.
I think that's how I met you through
right.
Lucky.
So Lucky pulled me in, and we started doing the clubs. We did that club Heat on Robertson, and basically that's when I had met. But I'd already like been writing to Esteban through Lucky, and when I was in the hole, I was writing to because Lucky and I we had went off on another level. We don't want to talk about because this ain't a politic channel. So what we did was we got in trouble. We went to the hole. And basically, I got out, and he's like, I got out before Lucky, and he gave me the number. He's like, "Hey, check in with these dudes. They might have something, but you got to be on the level. You can't be shooting dope. You can't be doing no dumb shit. Like on the real, these dudes will put you up on game, but you got to be sober, Frank. You got to be doing the right thing." So I did. At some point, I did get out, and it always starts to where I start doing the right thing for a little while till the money get real groovy. The money get cool, and then my head starts telling me I could do what I want, but yeah, I did, and then I started living me and Cartoon, man, when he had that spot in Buena Park, Esteban. We had the spot.
Right next to Owishi
Right,
spot.
to Owishi. Shout out to House of Lowrider. Yeah, we got to give Owishi a shout out. And then, we were living there, man. It was $200 a month. We were paying $200 a month for that.
It was like a little.
Remember how it looked?
Yeah, it was just. Man,
it was cool.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because it was a gate, and you would know, like if the cops went by there, and it was a dead end, and there was a club called Oz, and I remember that club.
Didn't they tear that house down when they extended the freeway?
This is what they did when they did all that work over there by Beach and Artesia. That work, they extended that, and they had to tear that whole street down. So they lost the Villa Motel. For the listeners to know, this is Buena Park. So that where they did that extension on that 91, which they are still low key working on it till this day. They've been working on that freeway for, I don't know, that's been like 10, 15 years. Their house was on there. They had everybody, I don't know whether they got paid to move out, but anyway, they ended up getting, they moved that and they got, and that's where I started with them. And Cartoon was, when Cartoon and Baby Ray, shout out to Baby Ray, they were tagging on Tattoo Mania on Las Palmas in Hollywood.
That's where, that's the first time Cartoon tattooed me, was at Tattoo Mania. When it was on Sunset, right?
It was on Hollywood Boulevard.
Was it Hollywood?
Hollywood Boulevard in Las Palmas.
He was with Mark Mahoney, I think, was in there.
Was Mark working there?
I think so.
Man, it was like a lot of people got their start in that tattoo spot. And then they ventured off, and Mark Mahoney opened Shamrock, and Danny, another guy named Danny, he was tattooing at a Gil Monte spot. Remember Gil Monte?
Yeah.
Gil,
so what happened to you after the 98 thing? So how much time had you already done by the time you got out in 98? And where were you?
Right, I did. So my homeboy, so I'll get back. My homeboy told me don't be, because they just put a new law in effect.
Yeah.
So anything you do out here, they're going to lock you up. And the only thing that was stopping me from getting locked up is I wasn't on parole.
And that's when you came out and you were huge.
That was in 98. And then, so I did, just so the listener will know, I did from before that. No, I was starting to get my size back when I did the robberies back in the middle 80s. My first time I went to the institution,
you were bigger?
Right. My size started increasing when I hit Folsom. I was still young. I was 23. I always worked out when I was in juvenile hall. Like I'm a YA baby. I did a lot. I have a 34592. I have that still tattooed on my wrist. I did YA time, and in YA you had to work out. In the Youth Authority, we had to work out. If you went to YTS, I ended up in TS. I went up north to a fire camp, refused to work, went straight into the Santa Cruz County Jail, then also went to NRCC. I did the majority of my time that I did it up north. I started out in YA. I did a lot of juvenile time, so I was already seasoned to my generation is there was weights. If you came into a situation and there was weights, we worked out. You had to work out. We didn't do too much of the calisthenics because we had weights. We always had weights. And then as I started doing penitentiary time, it was like in 94, that's when, because you asked me before we walked in, what, because I know there's pictures floating around of me of when I had size and I was up in Soledad and all that.
You could look at that tribal video. You were big right there.
Right. I was working out. Me and Cartoon, we were actually going to the gym, man. I had Cartoon. We would go after he would do the tax at Bob Roberts' spot. Shout out to Spotlight on Melrose. Yeah. So what we would do, our schedule would be like, we weren't getting high. Nobody was getting high. Cartoon even had me where I stopped smoking. We were eating good. We're no fast food, drinking water. So we were doing this keto shit back when then nobody knew what keto was. We were doing that, drinking water, and every now and then I slide a Coca-Cola in, and like he's like, hey bro, we should go like a week and not smoke. And like in other words, if I'm not smoking, you're not gonna smoke. I'd be like, fuck it, then we ain't gonna smoke then. That's how that's how we were getting down. Like he's like, can you see me doing this? Can you see me doing that? Do you see me? And I'm like, Baby Ray gave him the like shading game. I was watching all this process take place, and Esteban was like getting, like his photos that he has. If you like really look in depth into that picture element that he has,
those were great times for all of us, man. That was like monumental. That whole period, because it was prior to social media. There wasn't Facebook. There wasn't Instagram, and we were all out there doing.
You had to hustle in the street. You had to drive the car. You had to put gas. You had to get up early. There was no partying at night. Even though what we would do is I tripped out. So they're like, what's up? Because Esteban could go like fucking 18, 19, 20 hours, and then it's time to go home. It's like, they're like, bro, like you just coming out of the joint, like just get used to this. Stay up all night. We're gonna. So with like Jack Rudy, man, he like, you fuck with Jack Rudy down at Tattoo Land, he tattoos at night. Yeah. Like if you want to get attacked from him, you're going to show up at 12 and he's going to open the door at 1:30. You're going to at least wait an hour and a half because he's going to tell you just be there. And it's the time that he's going to attack. It's going to be in the morning, early morning. And then Cartoon was getting on that tip. So it's like, and then what happens is you do that and then you sleep until 1 or 2 and you get out and you push your product or whatever you have. Esteban was like in and out of those photo spots. Like people, they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears. They just like all of a sudden Netflix has LA Originals and they pop up and they see all that shit. It's like, man, like do it like to get all that footage like that they showed on LA Originals. It took years and years and years. And how did you?
I mean, just for the listener, because obviously. I remember you back then, and I was around in Esteban and that whole scene at that time, and you were always a part of what we all did collectively, and obviously you were real close with Esteban and Lucky and Toon. But coming out on LA Originals during some of the worst times, like some of those photos in there of you, I think there was some when you had been shot, and then there was some when that were kind of funny.
Right. Yeah. It was crazy.
What do you throw some water on you? They're trying to wake you up because they had a meeting or something. Right. How did you feel about that? All of that and the whole LA Originals things and being a part of that.
So my deal is that I have an addictive personality. I've always struggled with it. Could either be addicted to like buying clothes. It could be addicted to like, so. So what ended up happening with me in that situation is Esteban would document this shit, whether I was in my good or I was in my bad. Like more, probably a little bit less or more than bad, but I'd say a 50-50, where he's got like, he has footage and he has enough footage like right now that he could throw out there. And even recently, like we did it like the before and after. Like we got like, I mean, like, hey, we want to see this dude over here this way, we have that, but like people need to see that at any given time, like when you're addicted, when you're having an addictive personality, and me, it's like, is where I'm at today and where I was, yesterday. It's like two different things. I mean, yesterday by saying when they saw that footage of me on the box and all that, I had really been getting, in other words, yeah, I was doing myself, not in a good state of, being productive. That's the word I'm looking for, to be productive and be cool with the crew, cause I am part of Soul Assassins. I am one of the original Soul Assassins. I didn't start Soul Assassins. I know there's people probably listening that hold that close to their heart as the same as I do. Cause that's like my family. And, and shout out to the Soul Assassins, to everything DJ Muggs is doing, and to Crime Apple and all these guys that Muggs is putting on. Cause Muggs is doing like Bobby, shout out to Bobby, and all these guys that are like really like the part of our familia. This is our familia. You're part of that too, Bobby, whether you know that or not. Did you know that? We consider you
somewhere in there.
We consider you part of that.
That's my LA family.
Right.
That's always been.
We've always considered you.
That's always been like,
it's like
my go-to out there.
It's like a patch, man. Like, or you're from a neighborhood. It's like you don't have to get jumped into a hood. If you lived in that neighborhood all your life, there is no jumping the homie into the hood. It's all about like, we know you're down with the hood. We know you're down with the crew. We know whatever. Like we label, see, living in society now, what I've noticed, I got off track. I know I'm off track. Living in society, we put too much labels. And I think that's what's wrong with our generation that we have nowadays, is we fucking label everything. We label what's right, what's wrong, what we need to eat, where we should be at, what we're doing. Like there's not enough, OGs and individuals. I don't want to be like, oh, toot my fucking horn, like such as myself in the community. But like from what you saw in LA Originals he gave you a little bit at the end where you saw me explaining what was in the book and all that. Well, that's where I'm at today. When you saw me with the beard, and in that situation, I'm glad that we have this platform where I could let the listener know, if you're listening, when you saw me in LA Originals, everything that I was doing after the fact, from being on Skid Row, showing you the fucking bunk dope that I had in my mouth, half of those bags were bunk, and the other half saying what had happened with me on that scene was I had got the bunk mixed up from the real shit. And that's like a suicide mission, because you don't know what's real and you don't have time to go look in those balloons when you're selling them. All you care about is getting some money, because I was on crack, I was on fucking meth, I was on whatever I could get my hands on. Like, oh, what's your drug of choice? Well, my fucking drug of choice is more, and what the fuck you got? So what I'm saying is just in order to like, that's my drug of choice. Like, there is no drug of choice, right?
That's At the end of the day, your drug of choice is more. Whatever the fuck.
What you working with? Like that essential water.
Let me just say this real quick. My man Lepke's been sober for 5 years plus. He looks probably the best I've ever seen him.
Thank you.
He's a great father. He's healthy.
Good.
He lives off of green drinks,
right?
That he makes, right. Black coffee and water,
essential.
And he's a family man, and he's doing incredibly well. And
thank you.
He mentors. You're welcome. He mentors individuals that are going through some of the same issues that he's encountered through life, and people with addictive personalities like himself. He runs. We
have 15 houses now. I'm like an assistant general manager. I don't want to toot my horn on that, but I'm helping.
Yeah.
I'm in the helping
Lepke's
business.
one of those guys that if you lived in one of those houses and Lepke walks in the door, you're going to pay attention whatever he has to say.
Right. I look out for those guys.
Yeah. And he's, they're sober living homes.
Sober living.
And, he's in a mission. I think part of his mission and part of what he really trips on these days is helping people, right? And the youngsters.
My motto is, if I could save one life at a time, I did my job. The business I'm in is saving one life at a time. lives are being saved through me, one life at a time. And you know what? Like, cause I remember my mother used to tell my mother before she passed away with 28 years, on the NA program. She's part of the NA. She was a drug counselor. So I'm kind of following in her footsteps. Since also at the end of my mother's death, I had been doing some relapsing and doing some shit that I know probably weighed in on her. And she had a stroke. We're sitting in the meeting on Hayworth and by Fairfax High School on Tuesday. And she went into a stroke. She never came out of it 30 days. She went that stroke, almost killed myself. Not like, oh, I'm going to commit suicide. No, I started using and I was just using all the way and I couldn't die. Like I even a few of those shots, I maintained to put enough dope in them and in the shot. And then when I came out of it, I came to, opened my eyes, I was laying on the floor and I'm like, damn, that didn't kill me. Like that didn't kill me.
Were you trying to do it?
Well, in a way, like I was like, I would look at the dope and I'd be like, man, if I shoot that, I'll probably go out. But I was so strung out. I'm like, maybe not.
What do you think? Because,
right.
But being that I've seen some shit that you've gone through, what do you think the closest you've been to death?
I think when I was faced with, not to say this so the listener, I really don't like sharing about it, but
he doesn't. That's the thing about Lepke.
Like
he'll tell you some stories, but he's kind of selective on what he talks about. If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too.
No, but this is a platform that maybe a youngster will listen because
and hopefully learn
a
something.
gang member,
right?
Because I am, at the end of the day, I am an ex-active, gang member. If you want to look at the resume or like motherfucker, oh, nowadays the way this is, that ain't the way it's supposed to be, and we got a whole bunch of judges and juries out there that are gonna say, you know what, like where's yours, where's this? Just trust me when I tell you.
But homie, you're here for a reason.
Right. Thank you.
You're here not just on this platform, but you're alive because you're meant to still be alive. And I think maybe for these individuals that you're helping now, you were kept alive to help other people. And I think
I'm glad somebody's reminding me of that, because sometimes I go day in and day out, I'm like, man, nobody. But I know, but it's like, you sometimes, like an addict can get in a place, in a dark place, even in sobriety and clean time. We could get in a dark place to where we're not getting a pat on the back. And I think that was a reason why, like, I get coming up on a year, and then my mother used to tell me, what you should.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
What you should, what do you expect on like Cartoon told me one time.
What's
Cartoons, that? Like, he looked over at me and he goes, hey, homie, what do you want? An applause for what you should already fucking be doing?
Oh, yeah. I think that's his,
Cartoon comes out with some good shit. Right?
He's really philosophical.
Have you ever had a philosophical conversation with Mr. Cartoon? He's the fucking best,
he comes up with the best shit. Hold on real quick.
Yeah, make sure we're on point.
Yeah, let me check this out real quick. All right. So yeah, man. I've told people in regards to our brother Cartoon. Right. Shout out Cartoon, like always. I think he's successful not only because of his great and amazing style, and I'm not just gonna say because of him being the artist that he is, because he's got style. Right. Not just style of his art, but the way he carries himself. Yeah. The way he speaks. We
used to call him Toon De Niro.
Yeah,
he got that look.
And he's got the that look. And he knows how to play that.
That's good.
And he knows how to look at you a certain way. And when he starts getting on his
his
philosophical vibes and shit,
motivator,
that, but we've all learned from him. Right. And we've learned from each other.
Damn right. If you're over there, don't worry. Some of this shit rubbed off. Seriously.
Yeah, but I think going back to what I was saying in regards to you, man, it's you're here for a reason, bro. Like I think because fuck, you couldn't take yourself out. Right. They couldn't take you out, like I said in the beginning.
But because I remember what I was getting at, these like young kids that are listening, there's some kids that are probably hearing and then be like, all right, yeah, well, you already stated, like, you an ex-active gang member, and once a gang member, always a gang member, and all this shit. Yeah, okay, I believe in that, and I truly want to let you guys know that, get ready, man, because there's only 3 things that happen with ex-gang members like me that I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I did. Because at the end of the day, I like working with other individuals that are gang members and asking them to I give suggestions, and I try to explain to them situations, because it's a mirror reflection. Like when I tell they're hard-headed, I go, no man wants to accept a challenge, and I feel that some of these guys think that I'm not challenging them. I tell them, look, if I ask you to do a chore, it's 5 minutes, and they'll lie all the way down to I did the chore. You know, and I'm like, no, you didn't, bro. And I know if you do the chore, like, it's not a fucking chore game. It's like integrity is like somebody goes, oh, integrity is doing the right thing when no one's watching. No, bro. Integrity is doing the right thing for the right reason. You do the right thing. We have to, like, don't be like, try to tell these kids 25. I'm dealing with two of them right now. One's 25. They, you know, they make it look good. They make it sound good. But hey, this is where you live, man. Like, don't fucking shit where you live, bro. You know, it's like, yeah, you're clean and sober, but you're still running out here and you're letting the homeless hyena suck your dick in the fucking outhouse, you know, while you're selling Obama phones or working to sell the Obama.
Yeah.
And, you know, I keep those people anonymous. I can't mention, but these are individuals that I deal with. Like, I got one guy, you know, it's like, he's getting better. You know, I've been working with him a long time. They're just like, you know, it's like because I see something in these kids that I see in myself and I get frustrated. Like, you know, when we're like you know, I don't want to say like my son, you know, my son, I see things in my son that I might have been the way I was to my mother, you know, and I got a lot of game from my mother when I was clean and sober and when I wasn't clean and sober. My mother, she found out, you got to remember, I used to get high with my mother. I used to roll joints for her. I used to fucking sift out the seeds. And if a seed popped, she'd crack me upside my head. Like, hey, there was a seed in that motherfucker. It popped. And you know, if you're smoking weed and a seed pops, and you're laying down and one of them seeds hits you on your skin, it burns. You know, and if a seed popped, my mother will backhand me. So I made sure every time I rolled her weed, and then my mother was old school, man. She was fucking around with that cocaine back when that cocaine was pink and it was $200 a gram. And, you know, and I was like, cause Ice-T, he gets up on that Instagram and he puts like old school shit up there and he has a cult philosophy. He put a picture of himself up there at that pad that he had back when he made that first album when he was, with the Asian, I forget the Asian, what's her name? Man, I forget her name. She wrote a book. Man, it's on the tip of my tongue. They're probably going to get mad listening, so if they're listening. But he took a picture in front of his house in the Hollywood Hills. And I remember those Hollywood Hills. I remember when Freebase started, man. I remember when it did, like, people think that the Contras and that Nicaragua shit, that the cocaine hit. We were getting the cocaine when it was coming from, you know, somewhere else, you know, like that cane was coming like from Colombia, from Medellin. We were getting the coke from down here. And we would get that shit and we would rock it up. We would, like, somebody, maybe they got the game, but we were rocking that shit up. Like, we learned how to rock that fucking dope up with my homeboy in South Central on Broadway and, Florence. He, you know, original East Coast brother brought us in there and showed us how to rock that shit up. And you had to have powder. Like, we weren't doing, it wasn't that bathtub bullshit or that microwave shit that they got on Skid Row, now that flat dope. We were rocking, I learned how to rock that shit up. And then I knew some kids out of Beverly Hills High School that started rocking that fucking coke up. And then I remember they rocked it up one time.
This was before all the crack hit?
This is I'll give you the year. This was like 1974. That's the first time I saw some rocked up dope. And in
So you and I are the same age.
Right. I'm 50.
So man, you were a youngster, bro.
Right, I was real young. And we were skating. I started off skating before I got in the hood.
Me too.
Right.
Like, I always tell people I discovered low riding and the whole Chicano thing while skateboarding around the neighborhood.
I'm trying to think what video. I just showed my son the video. I showed him it was kind of like, it was like I was cut in the middle whether I should show this video to, because I forget what I watched. Yeah. And I put the video on and I heard my girl, shout out to my girl down, she's probably listening. I put sweet shout out. Anyway, I have she could hear everything that we're watching. So I put that dog, D-boy dog.
Yeah,
what is it?
Yeah.
What is
Z?
Yeah. And there's some drama up in there, man. Yeah. He's watching. I'm like, I don't know.
How old is he now?
11.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know, but he's kind of hip.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, this is like, you know, to me, I was even in back of my head, I'm like, man.
Does he have a phone?
No, I had to take the phone because he was doing some crazy shit with the phone. So we got the phone from him.
Yeah.
But he's moving. You know what I'm saying, Bobby? Like, remember, they start moving.
Yeah.
They start moving and there's a way, like, you know, like I gotta be like, and I have to look at it like, I didn't have my.
So what I'm hearing is, and I didn't know this the Lepke is, so you were brought up around a lot of dope as a kid. Like your mom,
man, it was like
your mom was into it, and it seems like there was no hiding.
I lived behind the Speakeasy on West Knoll. I came up right there where Flippers was popping. Like Lucky just texted me. It's like, where you at? He just texted me.
He texted me a little while ago.
Right, he's like, where you at? And he probably feels, because see, this is a spiritual dude too, Lucky.
Yeah,
like he'll know.
My mad love for Big Lucky.
Right, yeah, he'll know. He's like, I told him I'm going.
And you know what? So, and if anybody's listening to this podcast, this interviews, I'm going to tell you. So, another podcast that you definitely want to check out. Some really good friends of ours. They got great guests also.
Chumaha.
Yeah.
Hard Luck Show.
That's right. And you'll hear Lepke on there too. It's the Hard Luck Show.
Right.
Big Lucky, who's also Soul Assassins, great friend of ours too. Chumahan. And they've got great guests, great podcasts. So if you want to check it out, check out the Hard Luck Show. So there's a little ad for
they had the last one they did was with Risk. Shout out to Kelly.
Yeah,
right,
that's man.
Right, Franco.
Yeah. I mean,
we can keep going. Give me a whole shout out show.
Yeah, we could do a shout out show, but both of us have been really blessed to run in the circles that we run in and have some of the support and the friends, and just look at that big old essay right there. See,
right. So, but yeah, well, you know how that happened. One day they were like, "Man, you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then, and Muggs was like, "Yeah, he's down. Go ahead." I'm like, "Serious?" He goes, "Yeah, make sure you put that on there, because what are you gonna do? He ain't got no room." And I go, "Look," I showed him. He goes, "Yeah, that's a right size." Right. Bob Roberts, man. Bob Roberts, man. We did a lot of tattooing up in there, huh?
Yeah.
Not me, but.
Yeah, cartoon. So, I didn't get tattooed in there, but I think he tattooed Eminem in there, did some other shit.
He did Tretch.
Yeah,
that was there when he got Tretch. Angie Martinez and them. I had just paroled, man, and I was trying to show everybody.
So you got out in '98. I got out. You worked the doors.
Right.
You were doing the same thing as Esteban and Lucky were doing. Right. Or Lucky was still in. I don't remember.
Right. Lucky was doing it.
And then you went back in after that.
Yeah. Okay. So then I caught. The listeners. So like '98, I paroled off of the second strike. I did the second strike, and then I did the. I did violation. Back in those days, see now, like these kids are listening. Oh, what's a violation? Like, we're not getting violated. There's COVID. It's a pandemic. Like it's like right now the law ain't really tripping. And that's okay. Like, I'm like, oh, well, why are you worried about the law, if they're tripping or not? I ain't worried about the fucking law. I ain't on parole. I got over a decade. I've been off of parole, and that's coming off of 5 state numbers. Mm-hmm. I got the J, the V, the YA, the V, it's not, the number don't make the man, Mm-hmm. So, what ended up, I did a lot of time. I did a lot of violations, and then I'm trying to think, I ended up catching, I did 94, 98, and then in 98, I caught a sales. Lucky caught the same sales too, and he ended up doing it. So I think I took a sales. We caught a sales, like where you sell, they catch you with dope. It's bagged up a certain way, and you try to, basically it's like, all right, I buy an 8-ball. Right. And I want to sell a few just to make my money back from the 8-ball. I'm going to use the rest. Yeah. So I end up, right. So it's an old story you hear from all the addicts. They go, I bought 5 20s, right? And I got on the train. Right. And I heard this speaker say it. He goes, I bought 5 20s. I got on the train and I decided to smoke one. By the time I got the dope in Philly, and I'm coming back to Camden, New Jersey. And so I smoked one. And then by the time I got to the second stop to get on the second train, I smoked the next one. By the time I got to Camden, all the dope was gone. Right. And that was my big dope story, so that's my big dope story. Yeah. Like, it wasn't shit. Like, we always try to get something.
So when you were at your, I'm gonna say lowest, right, you was living right there on
right St. Julian, right? Yeah, shout out to the road. So what happened? So I ended up getting very familiar with Skid Row. I was running around Skid Row. I used to sneak from my house because sometimes when I smoked weed, my mother would hide her weed real good. I couldn't find it.
So you moved away from the gangs and just basically your life was all about dope.
No, it was no. Let me tell you how this works. So see, a lot of people don't realize. So my neighborhood's in Hollywood, and Skid Row is in downtown. So what I would do is, back before they were building the metros and all that underground, the red line. It goes underground. So the underground was more convenient. I ended up, before even they had that underground thing, when I got out in 98, and before I went in 94, I was taking the 420, which was a freeway flyer. Those of you in Hollywood know the old school Hollywood bus would come from the valley, the 420, and it would jump on the freeway on Western and Santa Monica, and it'd take you straight into downtown. But previous to that, when the Skid Row, there's a dude that he was a killer killing the wino, Skid Row slasher. When I was young, I used to always, and I would go to the movies on Broadway, because you can get those 3 movies, The Mac, Hell Up in Harlem, Cleopatra Jones, one of the black movies. You could go there and see those movies for 50 cents. And then we had one in Hollywood called the World Theater. So what I would do is I'd get on the bus, I'd go to Broadway in downtown LA. Broadway was popping. Sunday, you go Sunday, it's on and cracking. 18th Street had the arcade, 5th and Hill. That's back before they were paisas. Now they're paisas now, but it was like a lot of, everybody would meet up, all East LA hoods, everybody would meet up on Broadway on Sunday. And when I was young, not really from the neighborhood, but knowing about homies, and I wanted to go down that road, I would take that bus down to downtown LA to get my weed on Skid Row. You get anything on Skid Row. And that's back when Skid Row, it wasn't publicized. There wasn't homeless tents. It was, there's Starsky and Hutch. You remember that when they filmed Starsky and Hutch? Yeah. It looked like that. So you can still go down there. It was like a Bad Element. It was like, a lot of shit. Like we weren't shooting heroin at that age. We were going down there. We're drinking maybe a little beer. Me and my homeboy were drinking some of that, Thunderbird and that Mad Dog. And then we go get the weed down there. And we were young. So basically what ended up happening was I started, I got out one time and I was noticing in one of the spots where they were selling coke, and it was like a trap house. They call it trap house. We used to call it the dope house back in the day, anyway. A pad where the whole neighborhood kicked it, where you can get whatever you want. Yeah. They let you in. But basically what people were doing in that house that I'm saying, it was a smoker house. It would smoke the freebase. And you had to have 20 to go in, because that's all they sold was a $20 rock, and it was 20 and up. You couldn't go in with change. You had to have a $20 bill. The dude really didn't like you to go in, but you go in there and everything was taking place. And we had 2 or 3 of those in my neighborhood right there off of Vine, Melrose, El Centro, and Santa Monica. Vine and Santa Monica, we had a lot of houses like that in my neighborhood where there was we call it the weed house. You had the base house. You had and then there was a house where the motherfuckers would just go. And little by little, I was watching. I always see my older homeboys, like, it'd be like some brothers, some white cats, they were where Danny Trejo has his donut spot.
Yeah.
That was they sold speed right there back early days. It was speed, and speed was hard to get in Hollywood. I mean, they had crank, they had, the Black Beauties. I'm talking about an era when there was Reds and, medication that you don't see nowadays. Nowadays, back in those
crank. Yeah. Wasn't crank speed?
That was a form of speed, yeah. Yeah, nowadays what's happening now is that, I don't want to get off track on this one. So what happened is I was sitting there one day and I kept seeing these dudes that I kind of looked up to would be in that bathroom a lot. And then they would go in and out of the bathroom, and I would hit them. I'm like, hey.
In one of the pads.
One of the pads. I'm like, hey, what's up in that bathroom? Because I was noticing that they'd go in, and then they, some of them, I wasn't noticing really the knot at first, because these dudes were some of them were robbing banks. These dudes were hitting shit. And they always had money. And they would always pull up on one of them Coupe de Ville 4 doors, or they come in some gangster shit. And I was always watching them. I'm like, and they always had something good on. They always, they always, no tennis shoes or nothing. They'd be with, slacks, Stacey Adams, that jacket with the fur on it. And they'd always be up inside. Every now and then a dude from, Clanton, the old neighborhood out there. Chicano Raza, and they'd be in there, and they'd always kind of OGs, and I'd be like, so one day I hit my homie up that was involved with these dudes. These were some gangster motherfuckers, and he's like, "Oh no, you're the young homie, and no, it's none of your business what we doing in there. Stay in your lane. In other words, don't trip off that." So one day I remember I had a bunch of money. I just got through selling a whole bunch of cocaine. I stood up for 2 or 3 nights. I was smoking a little bit, and we used to Cocoa Puff. We put the tobacco with the rock. And just smoke that and stay up all night and just serve all night. I had homeboys that used to go through you want to make money? Here's a quarter ounce. Here, you want to make money? Here's this, here's that. They wouldn't mind handing you all the dough, long as you when they come back in the morning, you better have that money. or it was going to be a fight, you know. And the homie used to always come. He goes, "I'll bring you a quart of Old English and some egg McMuffins in the morning every time I come, but you gotta have my money. Don't fuck it around. Don't. And I've seen homeboys get their ass whipped, so I'm like, I ain't trying to like make a big scene. I'm gonna give them their money. Bring my 40. I drink the 40. But I always
some egg McMuffins.
Yeah, and I would go into that pad, and they were but always in that fucking bathroom, man. I'm like
these dudes that were all dressed up.
Right,
they
all
were always in the
bathroom. Yeah, and they'd be in there counting money.
That's
and that's what opened me up. I was watching them one day. They came and they were counting money, man. And then I was like, they're like, hey, youngster, watch the window, man. Don't trip. We got you. And when they walked out, they handed me like $100. Back in in the early 70s, $100 was a lot of money.
Yeah, it was good money.
For just watching.
Damn, dude, how old were you then?
I was like under like 13, 14. So I think when I got out of TS, YTS, out of when finally, and I was like on it a little more, than I was before when they were telling me no. One day, this is how it happened. So one day I had stood up all night selling dope. So then I seen one of the dudes from the pad that would always like, I don't know what he would do for him. He'd probably get him syringes or water. He was walking. He was one of the dudes he'd go in the bathroom with them. Maybe some people have problems hitting. He could have been cause you can get high if you knew how to hit certain people like in the game on Skid Row is a lot of those guys, their veins are gone and they can't hit.
What do we mean by hit? Like
hitting
the vein?
Yeah, hit a vein, hit a neck. Because what you have is they're known as doctors. We call them, homeboy could hit anybody, right? And in order for, and you're hurting, you don't want to just snort the dope or, the best way a heroin addict is going to shoot dope is he's going to shoot it. He doesn't want to smoke it. Like these people like burning up the dope, like, oh, these kids now, they're putting on tinfoil, fentanyl pill, and they're smoking. I never understood that the whole time. I said, I tried it, but to me, that's wasting it. When you burn it, you waste it. I want to go, like, you do it like, like the way, like when they give you morphine, they put it in your muscle. Or they put it in the IV that's in your vein. And for pain, and you're going to feel. So in other words, yeah. So I'm looking. So I seen this dude, man. I'm like, hey, look. Hey, what? He goes, man, I don't feel well. He was sick. And I had a gang of money. I'm like,
this is one of those dudes that was one of the dudes you looked up to.
I'm like, hey, well, hey, what do you guys are doing? You guys are up to like, you ain't smoking crack or base in the bathroom. Like, what are you doing up there? I kind of knew. I had older like my veterano homeboys. Some of them would do that, and they were like. They didn't want us to go down the road they were going down, so they kept it a secret. It was a secret that a kid like me was going to find out.
Yeah.
So the dude that was sick, I'm like, hey, look, man, you don't look well. Like, what are we gonna do? He goes, okay, I got you, man. Like, you already been to YA. You're gonna find it. Like, I'm like, look, I'm gonna find out anyway. Like, I know what's up. I mean, are you down with it or what? He's like, yeah, but we got to go down there to Bonnie Bray and 6th to the donut shop. And I go, oh, down to 18. All right, let's go, man. I'm ready. He's like, all right, look, but I bought him a little beer, a little candy bar. He said he needed some candy. Got him the beer and the candy. We got down there. I remember they used to call it a quarter teaspoon. They don't like a lot of the G's. If you're listening, they know what that is. It's $25 a spoon. We got that. Took it up in that pad, went in the bathroom. It was daytime, so really nobody was in there. So we went in there and he's like, look, I'm just going to be real with you. You can't, this is your first time. So what he did was he basically gave me a little bit more than what we call a cotton. It was like, there was the little cotton from the cigarette with a little bit of dope around it. And I'm telling you, so there's two ways you can go. I always hear people that try heroin, they say this is the old heroin story is this. It either you do it and it fucks you up so bad that you throw up and you get sick and you never go back. Or he goes, be ready because you're going to throw up. So I remember I felt the rush. I felt heat. Right. And then I was cool. And then I remember all I wanted to do was like drink, like, I went and I got like a Hawaiian punch or something, and the Hawaiian punch tasted good. And I got everything that I drank. Then I started sweating, and then when I hit the alley,
so this is after you did
after
the dope.
I shot it.
So
right?
you shot it yourself, or these dudes
no,
helped you?
No. One guy, only one guy.
So this dude helped
the dude
you.
I got well because he was like, yeah, I'm gonna show you.
So then he shot dope into you.
Right. I knew what was going on. I'm like, I want to be down.
So this is the first time.
Right. I'm going to walk 2 blocks.
So you were already, you were feeling it.
Right.
Everything was tasting amazing.
Right. So I threw up real good, man. And the sweating stopped. And right after I do, a lot of these people that are listening, they're going to know what I'm talking about. And right after I felt that, I was like, man, this is the way I want to be. You know, I like this. And I hustled. I think I boosted like 10 pounds of meat. I took it to the lady. I sold that. So I hustled all day. That shit had me hustling. It didn't put me like some people will do it, and they're on the couch and they're nodding, or they do it like to me. It had me like it gave me energy. It gave me like I am now with this. Yeah. See how I am with the coffee. Like Bobby's watching me. I'm drinking. He got me some strong coffee. I got half of it done, maybe more than half. And the coffee does me like that. It gives me energy, you know. My mother used to tell me, you can't drink coffee after 6 o'clock. I drink a little small shot after 8 or 9. As long as I got water, you know, I'm good. It doesn't affect me like that. Like, you know, but.
So that was the first time. And then from then on,
I did it more like the kids my generation, a follower, not a leader.
This was in the 70s still?
This was, this was in the 80s. I would say the 80s. Yeah, I did it like when I was 80s? When I got out of YA. I was at least 18, 19 years old.
And then when you were in,
I tried to do it one time, like my homeboy thought he had it, and you know, the first time you think you're doing something, like we tried to snort it, but we didn't feel it. I remember he got a hold of it and he goes, if we snort this, we're gonna get high, but it didn't do me shit. I don't remember anything. But I knew something wanted to open me up. But I wanted to say, I got off track. All right, so what happened? So I did it basically to do it to like to be a big man, you know, like I know these kids, my generation, like the dudes I was kicking it with, that was a no-no. Like you can't be up. We would get jumped if like the homie would get out, they'd be like, hey homie, don't like, what are you doing up in that spot? You know, I roll with dudes that let's get on the PCP. That was a drug we were fucking with. Like we were selling Sherman. You guys had Sherman Logan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We started with the PCP, and I have homeboys in Compton. So we started with the PCP. So our drug of choice, was PCP. So we used to sell PCP. We used to, you know, like the PCP days. So to go to heroin, it was like I was doing something, the homies with the PCP deal. And we sniffed Chemo. You know, we start off, you know, I'm from a Latino neighborhood. So we were sniffing paint, you know, and we were drinking like, you know, Night Train and Silver Satin with the grape Kool-Aid. We would try anything. If you told us, like my grandmother said, if they told you to smoke horse shit and that would do something to you, you'd be in the backyard smoking horse shit.
And she wasn't lying.
She wasn't lying, man. So that lifestyle for the listener, before I got off track, and I was going to share it to these so-called active neighborhood gang members, you know, that this is part of my story is an addiction to the drugs. I was addicted, and there was some times like on the Hard Luck Show, I tell these guys, I go, you know, there was times when I would get out of the pen and I would go a long time and not involve myself with no drugs. I would go like join a gym and give my mother feria to let me sleep on her couch, you know, that type of shit. Like put money on the table and be and try to do, you know, and try to get out and go with Esteban. Esteban would give me the game. He goes, how long you gonna last this time, bro? And you know, and that dude was a big mentor to me because he helped me every time. A whole bunch of times I'd get out of the joint, he was always there. He was
like a savior.
He was always there. He'd show up, and you know, not to mention he'd be like, look. Like
I remember going down there and we'd be working and he goes, hey, let's go look for Lepke.
Yeah. They'd come by.
We would drive around.
Yeah.
Look, there he is.
Yeah.
We'd spot you on San Julian.
But check, I was in, but so he would like get me, and if he would get me like sometimes it would be too late. Like I remember a few times I'd show up when they were putting that studio together. I would get out.
Yeah.
And my gate money would be gone. I would already be at the Greyhound, you know, and fuck that. Like $200 ain't shit. They give, I don't know, like they make a big deal. Oh, my $200, the gate money, my gate money. Listen, they would give me that gate money. Like say I would be coming from Sacramento. All right. Let's just say.
Tell people what the gate money is.
The gate money is they give you $200 at the gate and they give
when you get out.
When you get out, you get $200. I don't know how they work it now, but you're going to get a solid $200. So whether that's a setup or whether that's to get you to buy your Greyhound ticket, cause they don't buy you the Greyhound ticket. They're either taking you to the train. 9 out of 10, they ain't taking you to the airport. You're either going to the nearest train station or the nearest Greyhound, and sometimes they tell you that train, it ain't running on schedule, so you're gonna take the dog. straight back to wherever you live. So you're going to buy your Greyhound ticket. So what I'm saying is I would get out of an institution, Salinas, I'd be in Soledad. I get out of, take me to Salinas. May I be in, I was in Chuckawalla one time. They take you to Blythe or they drive you to Riverside. Wherever they drive you, the first thing that I do is that I'm looking around, like, where's the liquor store, right? I go get me a big old drink. And one time I got stuck I found drugs in Santa Barbara. I was coming out of, they got us on the bus too fast. They're like, look, there's too much shit with you guys. We're gonna, so what they would do is they watch us buy the ticket, the CDC, right? And some dudes were crazy. They would just like sneak, like, dude, you're from LA. Like, you're like, where did he go? And, so I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to be stuck in Salinas. Cause that's not a good spot with you got Su 13 on you all, and you don't want to go to Salinas. So what I would do, I would comply. I would get my ticket, but then what I would do is when I got to Santa Barbara one time, I always remember I got off and the bus driver looked he could see it in my eyes. Even the bus driver knew. He goes, I'm telling you, man, you go pee, and in 5 minutes, I'm 8 to 10 minutes is the longest. If you're not back here, I'm taking off. Cause in other words, you don't look like because I might have said, hey, how long are we going to be here for? He's like, look, I'm letting you know right now. If you're not here, it's 8 minutes, but I'm going to stretch it to 10. Handle your business. Use the bathroom. The liquor store's 3 blocks. You ain't going to make it. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll just catch another fucking bus. I ended up staying in Santa Barbara for 3 days.
Fuck.
I found they have a Skid Row in Santa Barbara. It's not like the Skid Row in LA. It's just one little guy. I end up finding some heroin. I end up sitting there with some homeless people. And the dude was like, man, when are you going back?
Fresh out of jail.
Fresh out of jail, man. When are you going back to LA? I still have money though. So what it was I had one guy, it was another guy. He came, another victim or hostage. And, we spent his $200 and I'm making him think when we get to LA, I'm going to help him, he's going to help me spend my $200. And I ditched his ass when we got to LA and I smoked crack. Then I go see Esteban. And he's like, man, that wasn't long. You just, when did they let you out? And I'd be like, lying. Oh, I just got out tonight. He goes, you sure don't look like you got out last night.
Fuck. So straight out, that's the first thing he did when looking.
But then they would take me to the Walden House. Now, we had a program in LA called the Walden House. Lucky went through there. I went through there. And they were doing good. But see, what happens in this situation is
what's the Walden House?
It was a house. It was a home for parolees, man. Lucky and I, we did good over there. You had to be on parole. You went in there. You did 6 months to a year. They gave you a spot. They gave you a job. You couldn't, shout out to Wayne Garcia. He's up there. The Walden House is like Delancey Street. These are programs that parolees go to do the right thing. Delancey Street is a very successful program. Phoenix House is a successful program. I ended up this time, Bobby, I went through Phoenix House in Santa Ana. I did that on my own. My.
How many institutions have you been in?
The institute, you mean the prisons or the drug programs?
All of that. Let's say prisons first.
But that's like if I ask you, how many tattoos do you have? Right, like again,
is
right?
that many?
Yeah, so we can't
I just tell people I have one.
Right, yeah, it's one.
It's one that all connects.
One that all
one
connects.
big
Right,
tattoo.
right. Yeah, so it's like it's kind of like that we have these tattoos, but individually, if we count, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, but it's all a collage of our life of what like nowadays. Yeah. Like I made a statement. Like somebody on the street was like, "What were you talking about when you made that statement that anybody is putting tattoos on? Like what? Like is this a derogatory statement? Is that like to say something like where we don't match up to being able to put tattoos? It's an art nowadays, it's an art, but like people like Lucky and myself and individuals who, you know what? To be honest with you, I started putting the tattoo when I got into my neighborhood.
Yeah.
My first tattoo was R13, and I did it on my ankle. I put one on my homeboy, and we did it like a brotherly thing. Like you're gonna have it. We grew up together. We're gangbang together. We got shot at together. We got beat up. My neighborhood, you had to fight. Like if you were gonna be from the neighborhood, you had to fight. It's like you're gonna get jumped into a clique, but we're not gonna jump you in the neighborhood. You're from the neighborhood. you got to display a mannerism that has to be ready. Like I was sharing, and we got off track about these kids that are listening, man. You gentlemen that are out there, like when I was doing this, it was like they let me know, man. They said, look, you sign up for this, you're going to maybe have to, dying is on the menu. Part of being from this neighborhood, you're sacrificing. Like there's the Aztec, when they had to sacrifice an individual and do whatever they had to do on the pyramid. They're sacrificing that for whatever it is, the belief system that they believe in. So part of my neighborhood was we believed in holding the neighborhood down, whether we were doing wrong or right. Like the old lady came out one day. She's like, hey, you say you're about the neighborhood and the community, but you continuously to right on the side of my house. How is that being part of the, helping the community and being, so it wasn't always, peaches and cream in the neighborhood. We destructed our neighborhood, and we did things that weren't upholding the neighborhood. And so I sit amongst you, not as a man, but as a miracle today, to tell the youngster that if you want to gangbang for that county that owns that street, cause I understand where it comes from. I see myself, and I have to let myself know I was addicted to that street. It was like, before I even shot dope or did smoke weed with my mother, I always wanted to belong to something. I want to be, my father wasn't there to guide me. My mother wasn't there to guide me. Bullshit. I was just like any other kid when I went to school. But I tell you, I remember I was sitting in the sun. I thought about it. I go, man, if I really didn't want to do this, like right when I walked into junior high, it was like the fool from 18 got at me. He's like, where you from? That's how my introduction to junior high. I walk in, where you from? I back up rebels. Your homeboys are over there. 18 is here. There's 3 dudes from White Fence over there. And there ain't no Temple Street, Clanton, or Santanas in this school. So if you decide you want to do that, you got to go to another school. That's my introduction. So automatically, you hear these kids, I have a choice. I have an option. There's kids nowadays, we don't know what's going on. They could be walking into that playground and getting jammed up like that. We call that shit jammed up. You getting jammed up. And I remember at a young age, man, they would like the neighborhood, they jam me up. They're like, look, this is our neighborhood. You live here, and this is what we do. Like you're young, so you go over there, you do over there. And then when you get this age, you come over here. There was in a way, I don't want to be like, I didn't have a choice. Everybody has a choice. But in a way, I had fear. I had a fear, if I don't follow suit, it might be bad for me. And then we do certain things because we don't want to create a problem that we might think is a problem, right?
Right.
I learned now, Bobby, that I understand the hunger that these children, these youngsters, these teenagers, that they have to want to be belonging to something. There's positive things. Like right here, what you have established, Bobby, you established a positive thing. You have people working, people that come in, and I can see it in your heart that you're the type of dude, if someone comes and they go, hey, you know what? I don't want to be in jail. I don't want to be in trouble. I want to do this. I want to do that. Right now we're in COVID and all this, but my picture in my brain is I see, you pick me up, you drove me through the community, and I see the community to where there should be programs and resources, and I'm only one individual. So what I try to do is I try to reach out, we need these people that are up there, I don't want to be like, he's promoting this way, they're promoting that way, they're promoting. At some point, if we don't get unity within, the balance being what we're going through Floyd dying and what we're seeing in the media. All of a sudden, did you notice? Check this out. I noticed they put a thing out, don't hate the AIDS, don't be beating the Asians now. They got that up. And then I watched that they do the Asian thing. And then in the next sentence, we got somebody, raza, that's already label. Well, what about the street vendors now?
Yeah.
And now it's we're this picking and choosing game. It's not a joke, man. We're doing it. We should do this, go out into the street and just be helpful, without, I watch TikTok. Somebody put me up on the TikTok and I'm watching, and we got these people that are going out and they're filming, they're giving the homeless guy food, but they're filming it. Yeah. And like, what the fuck is that, man? You're filming that you're doing a good deed. You're pulling the weight out of the deed if you're advertising it. Because on a spiritual level, we don't do this type of shit. I shouldn't say we. I don't do what I do in order to gain a publicity or, it's like at the end of the day, like I'm going to let people know. So I work in the field. Oh, well, how much do you make at the end of the month? Well, what if I told you I don't make a dime? And I'm doing this because it's keeping me clean and sober one more fucking day. For a dope fiend like Lepke, Frank DeMarco, a guy like me, that I get a fucking, the wind blows sideways or the birds are chirping and I get the sun in the sky and everything's going great. I got a pocket full of money. It's a great day to go shoot some fucking heroin. What do you think, Bobby? What a perfect day. Let's just shoot some dope because let's sabotage everything. This is the way my addiction works. Yeah. My addiction tell me there's nothing wrong with you today. You gotta fucking continue helping these people. You gotta continue doing what you're doing and not going on Instagram or Funky Book, Bitch Book, Facebook. All this fucking social bullshit is the reason why we're in a place. Our society is in a fucking place today where everybody is pointing their fucking finger and you got 3 fucking fingers pointing back at your ass. It's like, we have to get in this community. I've been like, crying out, like they're like, you ain't crying out enough because nothing is getting done, And I got this one individual like that. Just so the listener knows, I've been doing college.
That's right.
I've been going to college, man. I'm a sociology major. I'm doing sociology. I've learned a lot in there. College saved my life. 2015. 3 months into November 19th. Man,
you've had your life saved all kinds
I'm
of
doing
time,
like, I've learned college. What I did was like, to me, college is like one big AA meeting. I'm not going to lie. I go in there. I'm a humanitarian at the end of the day.
You are.
I really am a humanitarian. I want to push that line.
That's right.
Like I fucking push that line heavy, man. Like I get in a bucket. Like, I'm going to brag just a little. I get in the fucking bucket with some dudes. You might look at them, and when you see them, you're going to want to run a pedophile make on them. That's how they look. I run like that. I run, and these dudes are solid. Like, we always judge a motherfucker like, what's wrong with him by the way they look? And at the end of the day, this is just a normal human being that just wants to do the right thing like everybody else. We judge a motherfucker without knowing it. Even I do that. Like, I'll judge a person, and I'll fucking take their inventory and look at them and just judge them and find out later that this is the motherfucker that didn't have his hand in my pocket stealing my money. This is the one that would have gave me the last dollar for a fucking Gatorade or a water, or told me, hey, how are you doing today? Is everything cool? Are you okay? That's what we need more. We need more communication. We need all races. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can get on that race thing, man. I was bred to hate the other race, man. I went into the fucking penitentiary and I knew something was wrong. I knew that's not the way my heart should feel. I went in there like, hey, homie, this is how it works up in here, man. There's 2 sides. When it kicks off, you got to pick a side, bro. And your skin color doesn't look like it goes to that side. Like, oh, if you hear OG Lepke talking, he sounds like a brother. Well, goddamn right, I sound like a brother. I grew up with the brothers. My mother grew up in the original jungle, Coco and August, where Training Day was filmed. That's where my grandmother lived in the hill. I grew up with Ike and Tina Turner's kids. I grew up with Ray Charles' kids. And I'm letting you know, Cal Worthington was living up there too, so it wasn't just an all-black community. Jim Kelly had a studio on Crenshaw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, like they're like, hey, we waiting for the book, Lepke.
Jim
What's
Kelly
up?
from Enter the Dragon.
Skinhead Rob, we waiting for the book. He's on me. Like, what the fuck? How long do we gotta wait for that? I'll do whatever it takes. A memoir coming soon. I already got, like, I get on the computer. I get on that computer, man. I write fucking, I'm not even gonna lie. I write 4 or 5 fucking words and I shut it down, bro. I know you got
some projects coming.
I shut that fucking shit down. I'm like, man, I got I'm like, but hey, wait, you could get somebody to help you do this. Like, you could ask for help, man. You need to ask. See, that's the problem with kids like my age now. Like, I'm gonna say, like, okay, kids my age, we don't ask for help. We don't need another motherfucker to know that we're struggling. Like we're in life, we're struggling. Like, what the fuck's going on today? Like, I need help, bro. Hey, can you help? I don't know how to ask for help. Maybe that's why I got 40-something years in the California state penitentiary system of, they say it's a California rehabilitation. There's no rehabilitation, man. We rehabilitate ourselves when we get out and we figure it out ourselves. We had to figure it out. Finally, I'm going to let you, the light just went on. No, the light didn't go on. The light is flickering. Every day I learn something. We got to be there for one another. And it's like, yeah, you talk good, bro. You got the talking part down. I think somebody else told me. Esteban Oreo, he's got a tattoo on both wrists. What does it say? You see
Show me.
You're going
yeah.
Right? Like
one says show me. I don't know what the other one says.
Yeah, it says show me. And then he goes like this. Yeah. The way he throws them at you.
Show
like
me. Yeah,
I'm like, so I start talking, like the way the listener is like, man, yeah, you blowing good. Like, that sounds good. Like it's about action, man. It's about action. Like I gotta.
But you're doing things, man. I know you're staying. Your actions are doing things for other people now. I know. Besides working with in the rehab homes and also doing the Hard Luck show and. You do something with green drink? What's up with that?
Oh, we're doing
green drink. I know you don't want to break out the secret recipe, but I've seen you making like huge batches of that stuff.
But listen, like people get at me on the IG and they what's up with that green? What I need it. Everybody, we're not at a marketing level, and the dude I'm doing it with, like not to put him out there bad, but I will. It's like he ain't motivated to the point to where he wants to do it on a marketing level, and it could get marketed. Like I got people, if you just like I give you the game on it. It's like if you want to make 1 gallon, you can't make 1 gallon. You got to go 8 to 16 gallons at a time. You have to buy a real juicer. Not the Jack and Lane juicer for $99 because we tried that and a piece of ginger blew right out of the top of it and almost.
How big of a juicer you need to make gallons of it like that?
Like gallon. Well, the juicer that he bought, he purchased this juicer at the Nordstrom South Coast Plaza, and I think it's like a $600, $500. I don't know. It's up in the hundreds. He got that. Then you get a food processor. A lot of people don't know. So you got to get a strainer. You get the big strainer from like Smart and Final. You got to get the $18, $19 Italian strainer. You buy that one. You get the strainer. You got to get 2 modules, which are sparklet water modules. They're like the sparklet water thing. You cut it off so you could pour. And if you go to
5-gallon ones,
you got to get the 5-gallon. Yep. And then I buy 12. Was it 12, 6 and 6? Yeah, 6. I buy 12 because I do 2 modules, so it's 8 gallons, 16 gallons at a time. But you got to remember something on a marketing level. If you like the way that it should be out there, first of all, it tastes like shit. Have you tasted it, Bobby?
I haven't tasted it.
I'm going to bring you a gallon, bro. Listen what I'm going to do for you. Look.
Does it really taste that bad?
It tastes, but let me tell you. So what ends up happening is I'm like I'm a seasoned drinker. Like I need to have it. I got to have it. Like I told you, if I drink a gallon a day, I'm doing good. But it's hard for me to drink that. So basically I'm just making it so I could drink it. That's where I'm at. Every now and then, Esteban Oreo, he's like the only one that I'll break bread.
What's in it? Like, why does it taste so bad? My wife makes some amazing green
No, ours is like this. Look, like the one that we make, it's not meant to taste good. It's bitter because we put the aloe vera plant in it. So let me tell you the whole process of an aloe vera plant. Aloe vera plant, what I know from just a little bit of research that I do, anything that comes out of a plant that's gooey like that, like you hear the old Mexican women did shit with it, and you hear there's been remedies done with it, and people put on their face for age. And imagine if you're just drinking that gel is just going into your body every day. You're having that gel. There's so many beneficiary. What's that word? Benefits. Yeah, the aspects to this aloe vera plant by itself. Now, this gentleman, shout out to Johnny Salon, ex Chippendale dancer. That's what he did back in the day. But this is like my business partner / a good friend in sobriety. Me and him, we went through Phoenix House, and we basically don't come from the same places. He's more like in Tustin Ranch, came up in Orange County and got high, with the cocaine and money, and he's one of those dudes that ended up on the riverbed. The riverbed was a form of Skid Row that was in Orange County, right off of. Did you ever see that?
I've seen it.
In
it's
Angel
off the
Stadium.
55, right?
Off of the 57.
57.
they clean that up.
Yeah.
So he was stuck down there in a big ass tent with a generator, and he was living down there, and he had a bad meth problem. So I met, our paths collided, but his mother was into health. She knew a lot about health because the dude is like, he's a hairstylist. At the end of the day, he's a hairstylist, and he worked in the industry in Hollywood. So he was on the other side. He's like, he has a joke that he says, he goes, I'm the only hairstylist that isn't gay. So, but he's an addict, and I got clean and sober with him in Phoenix House. And it's funny because we ended up getting these, an individual, Hector Morales, passed away, made me and him managers. And then, when Hector died, they're owners, they're into it. There's 3 levels to the sober living. There's the owner, which is the money. There's the assistant general manager, that cares, and then there's the managers that run the house.
So you're the assistant.
I'm the assistant general. I claim it because I'm
okay. So we were on the green drink.
All right. So what ends up happening is he constructed this shit to where the first time he showed it to me, he's like, look, man, you got to get on this. We're going to lose weight. So I started learning about the older we get, our bodies hold on to weight. Cortisol is from stress. Did you know that if you stress, your body won't release weight the right way? So I got into all this. So he's like, look, if we stay on this, we will definitely lose weight. And then what they're doing now is it's called intermittent fasting. Are you familiar with intermittent fasting? Yeah, right. Yeah. So he's like, cause I was like, I came in the game, and when you get off drugs in my first year, I was eating everything in sight, all the way down to the 10 top ramens in the bowl to throwing the spread, like those, the listener knows, oh, we know about a spread. We know. Yeah. Well, we invented that spread. We know we're the ones that put that shit together. So I was eating spreads and I was eating everything that was wrong. My diet was all fucked up. I was eating sugar. Sugar's a drug. Just so you know, sugar is a drug. So, so I got off sugar. I got off the fast food. I stopped eating if anything, I'll go to In-N-Out and have them kill the burger. But then Lucky and them got on this other shit. They're like, hey, they showed me a video. Like, all you got to do is show me a video. And they got this fucking Netflix, Game Changer and all this. Yeah. You saw all that, right? Once you watch some shit like that, you're going to try it for a month. But then my weight started going up, right? And then there was a time in my life, I'm going to get back on the juice. I see you looking at me. Look, so there was I see him looking. Look, hey, there was
all right.
Peep game. There was a time in my life where I stopped eating meat. Like, I go, hey, I'm going to just fucking stop.
How long ago was that?
That was a while back. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to go on a Mr.
But
Cartoon.
you look good, Holmes. Right. Like, you look healthy. You look good.
I'm good, man.
You're energetic. You it seems like your life is good.
Right. Like, I haven't had what did I eat today?
Are you trying to lose weight? Or are you trying
I'm trying to stay at
you carry what you have. Like,
I want to stay.
That's where you're at right now.
I want to, I'll stay at 280.
Nobody wants to see skinny.
No, I got down to,
medium.
People out. With the green juice, I got down to 268.
Damn.
I was like LeBron James style, like LeBron. You look at LeBron James is in shape. Rock and LeBron James, that's how motherfuckers supposed to be. Rock is a little bit over intense.
Yeah, but you're not. Right. I mean, you're.
I'm trying to be like an athlete. I hike those mountains. I like to. Yeah, I do the running canyon, but not.
Just keep that cardio going.
Right. I like the cardio, man. My mother-in-law used to, shout out to my mother-in-law, rest in peace, man. She used to tell me all the time, listen, the cardio, fuck them weights. Go in the gym and walk for an hour, ride the bike for an hour, and then walk up the hill.
That's my shit. Walking around.
Right, you got to do that. And then what it does is it relieves stress. I notice the more I walk and I'm done with that, I'm not stressed out about nothing. See, stress is the main killer. Esteban was telling me his homeboy in shape, all this bullshit, just had a heart attack. A dude that's like top notch motherfucker, all of a sudden you have a heart attack. Stress is the number one killer in the United States of America, or maybe the world. Like, motherfuckers stress themselves to death. I know what stress is. Yeah. But anyway, getting back, let's get to the green juice. So yeah. So what it is a lot of ginger, a whole lot of ginger, lemon, lime with the cascara, which is the peeling. That goes right through the thing. Matter of fact, if you go on my IG on they got like a TV thing.
Tell people what your IG is.
It's OG Lepke, Instagram, OG Lepke.
Lepke.
OG Lepke, and Franco got at me once when that IGTV thing. He's like
Franco Viscovi.
Right, Franco. Yeah, look, hey Franco, he hit me up.
I love that dude.
He hit me up. He goes, excuse me. He goes, hey, did you ever, you should start posting some of your shit on the IG. I'm like, man, I ain't with all that, man. And then I found out how to do it. And now it's like an addiction, man.
Yeah.
Like now you are all on it. Like when the Twitter came out, I started learning about the Twitter. And I went over to Muggs, right? We were doing that, Muggs does a Soul Assassin Radio, which comes on, Friday nights, just so everybody knows Soul Assassin Radio's Friday night, Shady 45. Muggs he's like, oh yeah, you found out about the Twitter? Yeah, I found out. Yeah, he goes, yeah, because you ain't got off that motherfucker. He was like, so we got the aloe vera, which you have to put through a food processor.
So you got aloe vera.
Yeah, we chopped that plant
ginger,
up. Yeah, you
lime,
chop, right? You got
and lemon.
Lemon, lime, aloe vera, and
it doesn't sound tasty so far.
No. Listen, lemon, lime, aloe vera.
Kale?
No, we don't fuck with no kale. What we do is the greenery that we use in that is we use 3 bindles. So it goes 3 bindles of cilantro, right? 3 parsley.
Spinach.
Is that parsley? Not parsley. What's the other one? No, 3 parsleys, raw. 3 parsleys, 3 cilantros, lemon, lime, 1 stalk of celery, and 4 cucumbers. And then the aloe vera we strain through the food processor. We chop it up and you put it through the food processor and grind it all down. And then we pour that and we catch it in the strainer and it goes out. All the gel hits the thing. And then we hit it with that, the old, what's it called? What was I saying? The vinegar. The mother's.
Yeah, the apple cider
So we
vinegar.
pour a whole gallon of that mother's vinegar. Apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
And we pour, and the balance, like there's a way he does it to where all this shit balances. And then before we pour, it's like we're making a batch of Pruno in the pen.
Yeah.
So before we do any pouring, shout out to Timmy, because Timmy, he's the pourer. We got, Big Timmy in there working. He's another manager. It's like, the few managers are into it. Some people, they don't want to deal with it, but we keeping it going because we like it.
How do you distribute it when you have that much? Are you selling?
It's gone, man. No, I really like
give it away. And just
I throw Bobby some. He's like, man, I drink that shit, and I had to pull over. So some people, it's like,
had to pull over.
Yeah, he's like, he said, I drank some of that shit and I had to pull over. He had to use a bathroom. See, in the beginning, when you drink it, it's going to cleanse you.
Oh, nice.
But not to the point to where it's going to fuck you up. Like, I'm so used to it. I wish it would cleanse me now. It doesn't. Like, I have to really go all day and not eat and just drink. I went on a 24-hour just drinking the green juice. I've done that and it cleansed me out. And I'm getting ready to do another one on the next batch. I'm going to have to do that because not that I'm cheating or anything. It's like, me, when I stress, I want to eat. I'm not going to lie. I'm a food addict.
Yeah.
I'm a food addict. I can get high on some Krispy Kreme donuts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, let's go get some Krispy Kreme. I eat 3 or 4 of those motherfuckers, right? And I'll be like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, there was no reason for that.
Imagine that.
Right? Like before I came up here, my son and my girl, they're in the Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm like, I'm in line to order, and I look behind me, and there's people behind me. I'm like, here, go ahead. And she goes, oh, well, you ain't getting the donuts, huh? And I got out of it. I'm like, no, I'm cool. I wanted to go through the motions. And then I didn't see nobody there. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm going to San Diego.
Yeah, you're on vacation.
Listen, I got coffee. I ordered 2 coffees. Like, I'm,
You're staying on beautiful location, man.
You know what?
You gotta enjoy it.
Right. Let me eat the 2 fucking donuts. I get the 290 calorie because I know the big sweet roll one and the apple fritter.
Yeah.
I see the 5 something on that, and I'm like, I can't eat the 5. Like, if anything, let me just stay under 1,000. And for dinner,
I would imagine that a dude your size could eat whatever. Like,
but it goes right
put
to
it down.
After. Hey, Barbie, if something happens after 45, right? After 40, you get up you hit 50. Around the midsection, it's like, it runs in my family, man. Like I look at them dudes, like, what do I gotta do? Do I gotta just not eat?
You still lifting weights too?
Man, I'm on it every day, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Look.
You look like, shit.
I'm on it every day. Like, I've noticed, like, my routines now are like they're not like Big Boy. Shout out to Big Boy from Sacramento. Like, I watch that dude. That dude is like, he's probably the strongest homie we got on the South Side, or, in California, maybe in the United States. Shout out to Action Bronson. He's back up in the gym. Mayhem Loran. That's delicious. Alchemist, he just came out with that new album, that Grammy. They got that Grammy, and the Body Count, they got the Grammy. Give me, like we do the shout out. But the green juice, yeah, it's doing me good. It keeps me, focused. I think there's a focus mechanism in it because I drink that shit and I'm focused. But look, man, I'm definitely, you're definitely going to get some.
Yeah, man. I've been hearing about it. I've been seeing it.
You've been seeing it?
I've been seeing it. When I went down to do the Hard Luck show, I know you guys were talking about it and
I didn't have
things like that.
I was supposed to, because it's hard with this with my business partner. My I don't want to. Oh, he's your business. Oh, you're my best friend. Well, make that fucking juice, man. I got motherfuckers in LA. Esteban's on my back.
Well, you can sell that stuff.
Yeah, but he doesn't want. It's like, listen, we're running 15 houses, man. You imagine you running 15 houses.
You're running 15.
We got 15. Well, we got other people do, but it's like I'm in the mix with this, man. It's like I got.
So you're in the mix with 15 houses.
I really don't I take half of those. Man, half of those I always got to check in. I got to make, and let me tell you something. Like,
so you're kind of, I guess it's kind of like you get high off helping people now too, kind of.
Like I said, and I was explaining.
Like just
I won't keep my one day.
Do good.
Like I got to give credit. Like the credit that I give myself is that there's an old saying that the guy that left me to the reins to run these houses, man, Hector Morales, man, he died on October 17th. It was a Friday the 13th. He ran his motorcycle, man. It was a Friday. He ran that. We told him, don't buy that rice rocket. Don't get it. It's not a good idea. I know plenty of people that have died on those motorcycles throughout my life. I've watched them because it's a weapon at the end of the day. It's like anything else. It's like the girl that just got hit in West Hollywood from the kid on that Lamborghini. That's a weapon.
Yeah.
And you don't buy a young kid a fucking Lamborghini and he's, he doesn't, because that's a weapon, man. What's the purpose of that car? That's a race car. You look nice in it, and it's a baller car, and you're a rapper and you're a ball player, and that's who should be riding those cars. Or, it's like not one just off the wall thing, and all of a sudden, So it's like he died, and he had a saying, man. It's like who are you helping, and where are you at with God? Like like the God thing. I don't want the listener to get, oh, well, you know what? Now you're preaching. Like my mother used to say, you're either a preacher or you're a teacher. Well, like you got to pick. Like, you could do both. You could preach, you could teach, you could inform.
But how many, pretty much every morning, I'm fortunate enough to get your affirmation. So every morning Lepke sends out, I don't know how many people he sends
about
it out
100
to.
and something, individually, because nobody likes a group text.
Yeah, he does send them individually.
Right.
And they're quotes, they're quotes. Either,
do you ever read them?
I read them.
Those are good. I shouldn't say
sometimes when you send the whole pages, I don't have time to read the whole pages. But he'll send pages out of a book.
Right.
And then he'll send a quote.
Right.
It's and those go out to people that you're trying to encourage and try to keep on the right track.
I send them to the people that don't want to read them either. You know what? So, Maddie, she said, how many people do you really think you read those? I go, I did my job, whether they read it or not.
You know what? I read it. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody can. Right. Sometimes you hit right on target too. Right. Like sometimes you'll send me something in the day and I'm having that kind of a day, and I'll get some in the morning. I'm like, Lepke got this shit right. Like they're good. So 100 and some people, individual texts.
Right. Hey, but look, there's one.
How you do that?
I don't know.
How long do you take to do that?
I've been doing that for 5 years. But look, there is one.
What was today?
I don't know. But no, don't read that. Yeah, I'm gonna read the one we live by. I got one here that we live by. It's in here. Hold on. Let's see. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the one we live by. So basically, these are out of a Hazeltine meditation for men, which when I was cleaning out my mother's restroom, her bathroom, up there on Laurel. My mother lived on Laurel for 30 years. Laurel and Fountain, right down the street from the Comedy Store. It's part of my neighborhood. I grew up right there, Fairfax area, up the street, from down in between Sunset and Fountain. But this is the one. She had the book, and the book only focused on men. But you know what it's like? So you got a lot of the men in there. It says all men. It never really mentions women too much. It's basically a meditation for men. So I grabbed that. and I would read. I go, man, my mother had it to where I guess when she used the bathroom in the morning, it was open like where she would read it, but it's not a women's book. It's a men's book, but it didn't matter. I kind of thought about that, and I found this, so I'm like, man, I'm going to keep this close to me. It's something, and when I smell it, it would smell like my mother had like a scent, and you know, when somebody dies, not when they die, but she didn't die in her home, but her home always had this like powder she would put on after the shower.
Yeah.
Like it was like not really a woman. Anybody could use it, like a formal, you know, men or women, but mostly women, I guess, would use it. It smelled like that powder. So I still have that book. But the one that I live by, that I read anytime I go to speak at a group, because I am kind of like, I wouldn't say a motivational speaker, but I do share my experience, strength, and hope with other individual addicts.
You know what, Lepke, you're going to have to you're going to have to own some of those titles one day. I know you're a real humble dude, and you're not, you know, you back away from those sorts of titles and those sorts of when people call you that. But yeah, motherfucker, you are a motivational speaker.
Thank you.
You're helping people. You're motivating people.
I wish it would open up.
You're pushing people in the right direction, and you're helping people stay sober, and you're motivating them in their lives. And I think it's real, you know, real cool of you, or real, you know, just humble of you not to own those titles. But you should. You are. You know what I mean? Like, but it opens up, I'll get busy again. Yeah, that's right. And it is. And I think it's gonna continue to grow for you because of some of the projects that we probably can't talk about, but some of the things that you have in the wings, and you're continually growing, and you have all these people around you that you're helping them grow as well. And you've got, fuck, dude, I don't know who could have a better crew of people and around them. You know, and not just like you said, not just these people that we all know that have, you know, names and stuff like that, but these dudes that roll in that bucket with you, those dudes are just as important as, you know, all the other high profile people. I'm sure that they're motivating you as well, and they keep you grounded, and it's a blessing to have that sort of diversity around you. You know, I think.
Indeed. Thank you. But let me, this is the one that I live by, and anytime before, either after or before, depending on how the crowd, like sometimes they told me, hey, you want to go speak at a panel? I'm doing a lot of Zoom too. I do a lot of Zoom. So they're like, you want to go to speak at a panel? And sometimes I walk in and I'll be like, oh, you know, there's only 3 or 4 people. Any 3 or 4 gathered is a meeting. You know, it's a it's a platform. So usually when I see like a crowd, like, you know, like a program, like I used to go in the Phoenix House, and there's 100 and something people in that meeting room. So, you know, and I'm trying to touch somebody and reach out, you know, because I would be in those days when I was in that seat, you know, the seat where I was listening to somebody, I would be hungry to hear somebody that would share my story, you know, to come and to where I could relate. And I always would look at this one. This was one that to start off anything. My name is Frank, right? And my drug of choice is more. And then I go, as my father's, this is a reading, you know, I was going, before I'd start my experience, strength, and hope on it, explaining anything to anybody, I would read this out. This is one of the things that I send you. Yeah. And this, I know you probably got it. And I think it's in March, could be March 1st. I don't know, but I always take the date off in case I got to send this to somebody who's not understanding what the program is based on and what the spirituality of this program provides. And what it states is, as my father's planted for me, so do I plant for my children. The first seeds of this spiritual program were planted years ago by men, and it just says, by men and women who were also desperate in need. Rather than restrict their attention to their own painful circumstances, they broke through to a new creative idea. It is in helping others that we help ourselves. They reached out eagerly to help fellow men and women in need. In the process, they carried the message to others and found a new healing relationships for themselves. The program, which is saving our lives, is here because men before us and women were willing to reach out and pass it along. We inherit countless resources and teachings from both our biological and our foster fathers and mothers in this program. The gift of spirituality, full life, inspires and requires us to do as they did. Pass it on. We keep the benefits of our recovery, not by holding on to them, but by planting new seeds from our harvest for those who come after us. I will give freely of my time and resources because the giving enriches me, and I will give freely to what was freely given to me, which is sobriety and a program of recovery. Because there's a gang of people who they get clean and sober, but they still hold on to the resentment, the anger, the frustration, the self-doubt, the low self-esteem. All these things is the reason why I shot the dope, because I was thinking less than, like Cartoon used to look over at me and goes, the reason why you keep getting high is because you don't feel you deserve to roll in a cool whip like this. And I'd be like, fuck, that's the truth. Who wants somebody to tell them the truth? Cartoon was preaching the hardcore Esteban in them. There was a point in their life where a lot of people didn't see this. They didn't bring this out on the LA Originals, but there was a point in their life where they were fucking going into the community and doing what Lepke is doing today. They had that point. Yeah. And they're still like, Esteban will help somebody. Cartoon right now, well, because of the COVID and it's hard and the family, he has kids and all that stuff. He's not jumping into the community, pulling people, but yet he is doing stuff I've seen it, with the kids and the schools and art program. And this is how we have to give. I have to, the first thing on my list when I wake up in the morning is like, I got to make sure when I lay my head back down on this pillow, I reached out and somebody got touched. That they don't like. There's another saying that I like. This is where I have to live by this, man. And this is another thing. And it's like, for some reason, I can never memorize it. That's why I have it in my phone. It's so simple because it's something I can memorize, and it's a statement. And it's right here. And it says right here, I have to and it's like my head, I took a lot of LSD. I used to take acid and go sneak into the Tiffany Theater on La Cienega and Sunset and watch the Jimi Hendrix and the song Remains the Same. Yeah. And I'd be stuck in there on those fucking movies, man. And I'd be tripping on LSD. I took LSD when we dropped it in a sugar cube, when it was pure. So I had a lot of acid trips and some shit I can't remember. And I'm glad God, Slash wrote in a book about the goat. The goat never came back from a trip. I knew the goat. I knew when Slash was running around fucking out by Fairfax High School and they were all getting high in that little neighborhood. That was my time period. I remember, I didn't know Flea and them, but that was around the same time when all those guys were all Venice.
Who's the goat?
The GOAT was a dude. I read a novel that Slash from Guns N' Roses wrote, and he mentioned a guy in that book, the GOAT, and I read it in the pen. I read that book when I was locked up, and you know what? I'm going to end up getting that book and reading it over just to make sure he said that. I don't want to quote something that I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure he said there was a guy. Slash wrote in a book that he said there was a gentleman that took some acid and never came back. And I knew the GOAT. The GOAT is out there right now, fucking smoking, bumming cigarettes and by the yeshiva. Yeshiva's a place where the Hasidics pray. That's over there in the Fairfax area. That's they don't, on Saturday, they don't touch money. That's a prominently, Russian Jewish neighborhood over there. So the GOAT, he's Jewish and he's always up and down. And my homeboy always sees him. My homeboy I grew up with, Dave. Dave is like a Hasidic too. We could do a whole nother podcast on him if you can get his ass down here.
So you used to see, Flea running around those things.
No, I knew, but back around that time, it was when everybody they were dirt biking and motherfuckers were skating and we were, you'd go down to the boardwalk and everybody it was like shit was opened up. Like you said, there was no social media. Our social media was getting out on the block skating and, doing whatever we did, man. Meeting up in Westwood, when breakdancing on Hollywood Boulevard and Highland before they built the LA, what's that thing? The Chinese Theater and all that. Remember that extension? We used to breakdance on that corner.
Hollywood, is that Hollywood and Highland?
Hollywood, remember they used to breakdance? There would be crowds. We used to take over the corners when we were doing the breakdancing. I did that shit too, the robot and all that. Bring our radios. Remember, hey, we just did, we were kids, man. We wanted, we always wanted to belong to something. Yeah, whether it was skating or doing.
But we're, just being, and I've said this on probably every episode, we're products of Southern California.
Southern California, baby.
All the shit that you know is from the hip hop stuff to the Chicano, the Chicano stuff, the neighborhood stuff, the lowrider stuff, tattoos, everything that we've been blessed with. All those things are blessings.
This is good.
They created these people that we are.
And we respect the streets and we respect the art. But it says here, the message is that any addict can stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. Our message is hope and the promise of freedom. Freedom from active addiction. Whether you're out there and you're addicted to, being an asshole to your wife. I mean, there's people that they strive on dumb shit. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a dick today. Let me get up and just be an idiot, And, that's why, I don't be like, oh, this is the reason, that's the reason. Well, whatever the fuck's the reason. The reason is that we're still alive.
That's right. You more than me, brother. That's the way I started this thing off. It's this dude, and I'll say it again, he shouldn't be here. I mean, in the sense that he's a survivor. Like, I know the shit that you've gone through and the things that you've survived. And
1992.
Now you're like, you seem very happy. You're always happy. The last several times that I've seen you, I see you yell and get hot once in a while, but that's your personality. He walks into the building and I got to tell the dudes, hey, he ain't yelling at you. That's just how he talks.
Right. I get pumped up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, pumped up to watch.
That's excitement. That's excitement. And you're very passionate about the things that you do. Right. And I see that in you. And life is good, brother. Like I pay attention to what's going on in your life and we communicate, like I said, daily. You send me, I'm part of your list for your affirmations and I know you're down here, with your lady and your son and I know where you're staying. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's like you've recovered so amazingly, and I think it's a beautiful thing that you're helping people and you're just, you don't want to take these titles as being a motivational speaker, but
I'm trying. I'm gonna get there.
I'm gonna say that, like,
I'll get in there. I took the communications,
and you do it, and all these people struggling with recovery, and the things that you do to help them, and not just people struggling with recovery, but I know you're trying to encourage young gang members and people that are in gangs and doing some things in the prison systems just to try to change their lives around towards the positive. And that's a beautiful thing, Lepke. And I'm going to close this out, man. And I appreciate you being here today. The Lower Left podcast. This dude right here, man. He's
shout out to Tribal Click, the original Tribal Click. That's for the listener.
Right out, shout out Soul Assassins. Right. And we're we've seen a lot, we've been through a lot, but to have this dude who, in my eyes, is a Southern California icon.
Thank you.
There's nobody like this dude, man. OG Lepke. You'll hear more about this dude, I'm sure, in the future, without saying too much. But shout out to everybody. Of course, our
shout
brother
out to Diego, San Diego.
That's right. And here we are, Lower Left Podcast, 17th and Island. OG Lepke.
Lower Left, baby.
That's right. We're out.
Peace.